Nintendo. This is a name that honestly is probably the most valuable in the whole gaming space. Ever since the days of the early 80s, where they practically saved the entire gaming industry after the Atari crash. And ever since then, Nintendo has just consistently produced some of the best, most memorable games and the most beloved games of all times. But over the years, I kind of see Nintendo has really changed a lot. Instead of being for gamers, they've been increasingly become anti-gamer. So what do I mean by that? Well, every time you look at the news, if it's Nintendo, it's got good news, but it's also got really bad news. And the bad news is the stuff that sticks out. So just recently, Nintendo can put your Switch 2 permanently offline if you use mods. Yeah, they could brick your Nintendo Switch 2. And that is absolutely horrible. And there's many other ways in which they could check whether or not your game is official. But the fact that they could do things like this, it just really sets a bad precedence. Because very similar to other things nowadays, you don't own what you buy. And by Nintendo doing things like this, they're just reinforcing that and showing you that, well, they own what you think you own. And so that is definitely not a good sign for Nintendo game consoles and games going forward. And then over the years, they have just become the master of suing people. So they shut down some emulator sites. And emulation is a thing that is in a gray area, but I believe very strongly that emulation is probably going to be the only way that most of us are going to be able to preserve older games. Now, if it comes to them ripping off new games, selling it, piracy, all those things, that I don't support. And once again, this is a gray area because these are intellectual property. Nintendo owns these things. But emulation, I think, is really what saves games and keeps them alive and well for many years to come. And so Nintendo has been the main reason why a lot of emulator sites have shut down. But also, I think they've slowed down emulation as well. You know, for the Dolphin Emulator, there were some issues with them a little while back. I don't even know if it still works, but there is a new release here, June 4th. So I definitely know that Nintendo is not a fan of emulation, even though they use emulation for their, mini Nintendo, mini N64 systems, whatever the case might be. A lot of these game companies, they also use emulation as well. So yeah, those are like some things that I'm just talking about here in terms of some of the things that I feel is very, very anti-gamer. But then, another huge anti-gamer thing, which doesn't make any sense to me, is if you are a YouTuber, a content creator, if you show Nintendo content, they could copyright flag your content. I just really blows my mind, especially when this is people who love Nintendo games. They are basically giving you free marketing, and now you're gonna copyright strike their videos unless you get permission from Nintendo. Yeah. Anti-gamer indeed, and me being a content creator, and I have shown Nintendo games in the past. Now, well, I just avoid doing it or don't do it at all. So all of these things combined, for these copyright strikes, multiple lawsuits, breaking your system, I kind of feel Nintendo is going to be more of an anti-game company versus a game company. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave in the comments area below, and I'll see you on another episode.